Hello, another movie review. This time we have Aeon Flux from 2010, directed by Karen Kusama, uh, starring Charlize Theron, Johnny Lee Miller, Stephanie Okonedo, Francis McDormand, Pete Postlethwaite, and Martin uh, Kasokas. The writing credits are by Phil Hay and Matt Manfredi. Basically, Aeon Flux is based loosely on an animated series that originally aired in the 90s on MTV. It was created by Peter Chung, and the originally it was just a series of shorts. And the premise behind the shorts was Aeon was this assassin, and the shorts were all silent. There was no dialogue, whatever, and she'd carry out these missions or whatever. And 9 times out of 10, at the end of the clip, Aeon would appear to like die. Eventually, it was kind of spun off into an ongoing series with ongoing plot lines and dialogues and characters and things like that. And the premise was it was this odd future world where they had this kind of oppressive government. The main bad guy was somebody named Trevor Goodchild, and he was kind of the ruler, head scientist, all around evil guy or whatever. And Aeon was one of the revolutionaries that wanted to bring him down. And while they were obviously enemies and Trevor was obviously the bad guy, they also had this weird sort of attraction toward each other. The cartoon really stood out because, through the character designs and the animation style. It had a very unique, very different visual look. It had a very distinct visual style to it, plus all the other sort of visual cues and gags and concepts. It was just really weird, really strange, really bizarre, and really different. And like I said, it really kind of stuck out in people's minds that had seen it. The live action version kind of more or less sticks to at least the core of the concept anyway. It's a future dystopia. Things seem to be okay on the surface, but there is oppressive government hijinks going on. People are disappearing. In the movie, they give Aeon a younger sister that she has to look out for, and this person becomes connected to the plot in a pretty significant way later on. The Trevor Goodchild character is a lot more ambiguous. He's a lot less overtly evil, and you kind of find out that the real bad guys are a couple of other characters that they've added. And um and Trevor and Aeon do have a connection, and that's kind of explained. And um and that's pretty much it. Without giving too much away, I can say for myself, I thought the movie was okay, but it was just this side of okay. Didn't really think it was great. It wasn't as involving or engaging as I thought it could have been. It wasn't as action packed as I thought it could have been. There's a pretty interesting action scene towards the beginning that I really liked, and it just seemed like the filmmakers really more or less shot their creative load with that scene. It was like after that was over, the rest of the movie was really kind of meh. I thought the actors did a pretty good job with what they were given. I just don't think they were given enough. Special effects were okay. Set design was okay. It's a very professionally made film, but it just didn't have that extra something that I thought this movie should have had. I think one big problem with it was, and this is just my personal opinion, I think everything about the cartoon that was strange or unique or offbeat, it seemed like they had cleaned all those elements, they'd scrubbed all those elements, away, so they can kind of hammer this movie into a more conventional Hollywood style movie. And in a way, I sort of get it because, let's face it, what works in comics or cartoons and animation doesn't always translate to live action. So they couldn't, of course, do everything exactly the way they did it in the series from the 90s. But I think maybe they could have taken a page from, live action movie like, say, the Fifth Element, where it's the future, but it's obviously not supposed to be a realistic future, and where they took these kind of crazy costume designs and set designs and whatnot, and just went over the top without trying to make it seem plausible or whatever. Just make everything a crazy visual feast. You know what I mean? And there's a little bit of that in this movie, but I don't think they did it far enough. As far as, like I said, the action scenes, there's a really good action scene toward the beginning, but the following action scenes, they just don't, they just don't grab you. They just don't keep you on the edge of your seats or whatever. And like I said, there's some, I don't even know what word I want to say. There's plot going on, and there's some things that are sort of interesting, but not as interesting as they could have been. So that's really pretty much it. It's not a terrible movie by any stretch of the imagination, And if you're a Charlize Theron fan, I say definitely check it out. But just don't expect too much. And I guess that's it. I got to thank you very much for listening, and you have a good day.